5 years after Donald Trump stupidly shredded the Iran nuclear deal, defense officials warned that it would take Iran merely 12 days to create a nuclear bomb. Intrigued? Then click that like and subscribe and enjoy the video. So we did a video a couple of months ago about the progress of Iran's nuclear program development, and we referenced the fact that in 2015, President Obama and a bunch of other great powers, I think including Germany, the United Kingdom, the European Union, created a landmark Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPA, and it was colloquially known as the Iran nuclear deal. And it persisted for 3 years, and basically what it was is in exchange for Iran agreeing to stop trying to develop nuclear weapons and also agreeing to allow, United Nations and American nuclear inspectors to constantly inspect their country to make sure that they're making good on their promise. In exchange, the other world powers would relieve Iran of the sanctions, the crippling sanctions that we'd all imposed on them. So it was a mutually beneficial arrangement. A lot of naysayers, including many conservatives, were pissed at the time because they thought it was essentially paying or bribing Iran not to create nuclear weapons. But for the rest of the world, it was the best deal that we had because Iran was otherwise going to create them anyway. They have a socio-political interest in trying to acquire as much power as possible, especially in a relatively hostile Middle East, and they had no incentive not to do it, right? So just being mean to them wasn't getting the job done. So as much as it sucks, sometimes in the real world, we have to bribe people to do the right thing. And for 3 years, the reports were that the deal was adhered to, right? And Iran's nuclear program had effectively stalled, at least with respect to weaponization. And then came Donald Trump, and in 2018, Donald Trump swore, businessman and negotiator that he was, that he would come up with a better situation, a better way to deter Iran from creating nuclear weapons. And so he shredded the deal. He took the United States out of the deal, which essentially violated the deal, rendered it moot, and restored the sanctions on Iran. And Iran said, okay, well, the hell with you. And they went back to trying to develop nuclear weapons. And of course, Donald Trump never found a way to successfully deter Iran. And for the 4 years of his presidency, Iran continued to try to, develop, fissile material and create, the sufficient resources to have a nuclear bomb. And he didn't stop them. So he failed in that promise, per usual, per Trump fashion. And I think at the time that we did a video about this a couple of months ago, the UN report said something to the effect of it would take a year, right? That basically, Iran was in a position in their nuclear development program that it would take them about a year to develop a bomb. And the bad news at the time was that even though President Biden was doing his best to get us back in to the Iran deal, like, hey guys, sorry about that Trump dude, let's go back to the way things were so we can relieve the sanctions on you and you guys can not develop a nuclear weapon and have it in the hands of your insane regressively religious leader. But Iran said, nah. And so President Biden was unable to return Iran to the Iran nuclear deal, and they continued to develop their program. And now we have a report that says that they could build a nuclear bomb in 12 days based on how far they've made, how much progress they have made in their nuclear program. So I want to play this clip, and let's unpack this a bit.
An alarming warning today. A top U.S. defense official told Congress today that Iran would likely be able to produce enough weapons-grade nuclear material for a bomb within about 12 days. The official said Iran has made remarkable progress in its nuclear program since the Trump administration withdrew the United States from that 2015 nuclear deal.
That's really, really bad news for America and the rest of the world. Because now, obviously we have the situation with Ukraine and Russia. China is, attempting to supplant the United States as the world's preeminent power, economically or otherwise. And now you have Iran, in addition to North Korea. We hardly ever talk about North Korea, but, they're also trying to expand their nuclear program as well. This is really bad news. At the end of the day, it's important to remember that elections have consequences, and presidents who have disparate vision also have, that the consequences of those presidents are not always reversible. So you take Donald Trump also took us out, for example, took us out of the Paris Climate Agreement, right, to try to address climate change. And President Biden was able to successfully get us back in, which is good, right? The problem is, to whatever extent China was taking the Paris Climate Agreement seriously, to whatever extent, and that's debatable. Some people say they didn't take it or commit nearly enough, but they're not taking it seriously at all now. Like all the work that was done under the Obama administration by former Secretary of State John Kerry and others to try to get this thing handled, that progress was lost. And even though the rest of the world that was involved with the climate accords, even though they're still in it and they're happy that the U.S. is back, we really need China to get back in and to take it seriously, right? But from China's perspective, they're like, well, the U.S., every 4 years, the U.S. is either in, they're out, they're in, they're out, they're in, they're out. If a Republican gets in, they're going to take us out of the climate accords, in which case, why should China adhere to them when the U.S., the architect of this accord, of this plan, they won't adhere to it? It's understandable, right? So things have consequences. There's not a hard reset that when a president, like when a Democrat takes over and has to clean up the messes of a Republican president, which has been basically the story of modern American political history for the past 30, 40 years, there's not a hard reset. We don't get it's not a video game. We can't go back to the last save. And this situation with Iran is a great example of it. Right now, we are feeling the consequences of Donald Trump taking us out of an agreement that was working based on all available evidence that we had. It was successfully working. The United Nations and America was able to go in and constantly monitor and constantly inspect Iran's nuclear reactors and nuclear sites to make sure. I mean, it wasn't just like we were taking them at their word. We were watching them like a hawk. And Trump just ripped us out of it and had no alternative and didn't implement an alternative and was never in a position to implement one anyway. And now we're reaping the consequences of this. This is also an indictment of the conservative Republican paradigm where, again, it just goes back to there's no interest in governing. It's just cause chaos, just disrupt, there's no plan for stability or, just rational improvement of things. It's really sad. It's really dangerous. And it'll be, so far, President Biden and the Biden administration, unfortunately, they have failed to deter Iran. And I don't know what it would take to do it. So anyway, that's where we are. 12 days. Iran is in a position to create a nuclear bomb within 12 days as opposed to a year. That's how much progress they've made. That's not good for us. That's not good for the rest of the world. And we have Donald Trump and the Republicans to blame. Hey, you! Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, and I hope that you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. And if you absolutely hated the video, the best revenge for you is also to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. That'll teach me. If you want to share an opinion or share some feedback, go ahead and leave a comment, all right? 2023 is a year of change, hence the aggressive rebrand and commitment to new content. Inspired by my friends Luke Beasley and STV Philly, my personal goal for this channel is to hit 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So I'm hoping you'll do me a solid by spreading the word and the videos to potential fans and hate watchers alike. And in the meantime, we'll be pondering politics again with you very soon.